Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Paint a Mini. So I thought that we would be having a little bit of fun right here, and what I actually bought here was a Reaper Bones miniature. It's technically a faceless horror. But I noticed when I was kind of looking at the packaging and all that it kind of reminded me of the Gore Nest from Doom. You know, the new Doom game, the different Gore Nests and all that. So I thought we would have some fun and paint this to resemble one of those Gore Nests. So what I've got right here is I've just got a layer of pure white as the base coat. And after we do that, we're going to move on to making it really bloody red. So we're just going to use this blood red color. Don't be afraid to get out a lot. You're going to need a lot for how much surface area you've got going on here. And since it is a really large kind of thing that I've got, I'm just going to use a really big brush here. This isn't any kind of miniature painting brush or anything like that. It's just a big darn brush, so I figured that we would use that. And we're just going to coat the whole thing with this blood red, and then we're going to go from there. I think that this is going to be a really easy one. I think that we're just going to do a few things with it, and we're going to be done just like that. I don't think that this is going to take very long, and I don't think it's going to take too much effort or stress or anything like that. This is just going to be a really nice one to just kind of unwind with. What I've got here is I've just got a really big, this is a 3" by 3" base. I don't have it super glued on the base, I just have it stuck down with sticky tack, because I'm kind of thinking I don't really want a base on this miniature. And I guess you could call it a miniature. He's pretty big. I guess this thing is pretty big. But I just kind of want it to be consistent all around. You know, I don't want it to be too distracting with a big black base on it. I feel like this will be fine just the way it is. Well, one of the reasons why I'm doing this too is because obviously I painted all of the miniatures for the Doom board game. You can find all of those videos on my channel. I'm just a really big fan of Doom in general. I haven't been making videos with the same frequency that I had been making for a while, and that's because I recently bought a Switch, a Nintendo Switch, and I've been playing Doom on that. I sure do like just being able to play it anywhere, anytime, on the go, and you know, it's nice because sometimes my wife wants to watch a particular TV show or something like that, and you know, it's nice because with the Switch I can just play it, you know, on the couch and, you know, do that with headphones, and that way she can still watch her show, and that way we can still, you know, be in the same room together and still, you know, have nice discussions from time to time. So that's really nice. But actually, so I do play a lot of the multiplayer on Doom on the Switch, and I had enough characters for it, so I made my username Paint a Mini. And I named it after my series of videos here, because I just thought that would be a fun thing to do. So if you're ever playing a Doom on the Switch, and you're ever playing around with somebody whose name is Paint a Mini, well, that's me. I thought that would just be a nice little fun thing to do. Oh man, I might need to do something else other than just use this ticky tack, because it's coming off there pretty easily. I think I might see why, actually. Give me just a moment, I'm gonna mess around with this. I'll be right back. Okay, I just kind of restuck the bottom there with that sticky tack. Hopefully this will be a little bit more secure and it won't loosen itself up on me or anything. You know, another thing Doom related is that I did get installed on my computer a while ago, actually. It's not anything new or anything like that, but I got installed on my computer Brutal Doom, and I also got on there Brutal Doom 64. Well, I was looking into some stuff just for fun, and I actually found a game recording software that lets me record video games as I play them, and it seems to work pretty well with that with those Brutal Doom games. I was kind of thinking about maybe doing like you know, just a series of Let's Plays, or you know, just some fun stuff where I would be hanging out playing some Brutal Doom and maybe just enjoying some nice narration while I do that. That was something that I was just kind of thinking about doing, but, you know, I'm not, like, dead set on it or anything like that. If that's something that you would like to see me do, go ahead and let me know in the comments for this video, and I'll look into doing that. Well, and then my dog is freaking out. I don't know if you heard that, but I think the cats just caught her off guard, and she just scuffled around the carpet for a minute. Alright, I think that I've used everything that I can with this really large brush. I'm going to clean that off really quickly. Alright, I think I'll go on to a this medium, or I think it's a small... No, this is the wrong brush. Never mind, here we go. This is what I was looking for. I'm going to use this medium Citadel base brush, and I think that this will let me get into those little kind of insides there that I couldn't get to with that really big brush. But anyway, I think what I was saying before, my dog had a little bit of a fit there. I was thinking about, you know, like I said, doing some Let's Plays of Brutal Doom, or maybe even the new one, because I do have it on the PS4, and I do have, you know, the PS4 does come with the built-in capture software. I've actually used that for some of my other videos that you might have seen on my channel. I don't know, just maybe doing a Let's Play of, you know, the new Doom on Nightmare mode or something like that. Yeah, any kinds of, you know, things like that that you might want to see. Like I said, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. Yeah, it's kind of tricky getting into all of the points of this miniature, but I think we're getting away with it. I think that we're making it work. Alright. And I might have missed a few points here and there, but I think that that's pretty, that's good enough. I think that that's pretty spot on. So I'm going to rinse that brush off. Alright, I think that the next... Whoops, messing around with the camera there. I think the next thing that I want to do is, it's got really big nasty teeth going along the whole, like, top of it there. Technically, it's got teeth, you know, going all around the miniature there. Like, I think that, you know, that's supposed to be teeth, those right there. That's kind of a mouth. I think the whole thing is that the whole point is that it's just kind of covered in mouths. Again, it's not exactly a Gore Nest, it's just kind of something that resembles a Gore Nest from Doom, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and just do the teeth that kind of line this part right here, and then the whole top part. And to do that, let's use this leather brown color. I love this shade of brown. It's really versatile. You can use it for a lot of different things. You can use it for, you know, teeth, you can use it for bones, you can use it for, you know, dirt, you can use it for leather, you can just use it for so much. I love it. It's my favorite shade of brown. Okay. And I'm just going to use this medium-sized Reaper round brush here, and I'm just going to dab each little tooth there. Yeah, luckily these teeth are all really, really large, so they're pretty easy to do. If you really want to, I guess you can go ahead and do all of the different like mouths and all the teeth all over the miniature. That's 100% just up to you, but I think I'm just going to do the top of it like this. You know, this miniature, and I guess what it's supposed to be, the whole like faceless horror thing, kind of reminds me of the whole like H.P. Lovecraft kind of thing. There's a video game that's coming out, I think next year, something like that, called The Sinking City. I believe it's from the same guys who made, or the same company who made the most recent Sherlock Holmes games. So it's interesting because those games are actually really fun. Like the most recent ones were Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment and Sherlock Holmes The Devil's Daughter. They were actually really, really fun, you know, like detective mystery solving games. You know, at its core, they were just kind of the whole, like, you know, point and click mystery adventure kind of things. And, you know, they're kind of one of those games where you really only need to play it once in order to appreciate it. But yeah, like I said, they're really good games, actually. And, you know, they're not, like, technically the most advanced games or anything like that. They're not the most graphically impressive, but they still look nice, and they're fun. Some of the mechanics on some of, like, the mini games and that kind of thing are really bad. But Anyway, like I said, those same guys are making a new Lovecraft-themed video game called The Sinking City, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think if they make it like those Sherlock Holmes games, I think that it could be a really interesting sort of like horror mystery thing. You know, on top of that too, they're also making, well, not the same company I don't think, but another company is making an actual officially licensed Call of Cthulhu game, and I feel like that could be really cool. Something that my wife and I were talking about was that we were browsing over at the Game Preserve, our local board game store, and there's a board game called Mansions of Madness, and we were looking at the back of it, and we're like, oh wow, this looks really cool actually. So we both really want that game at some point. So if we buy it, I will definitely make some videos where I paint some of those miniatures, because they looked pretty cool. I just looked at them on the box, but they look like really neat miniatures. I think I got out way too much of that leather brown. I don't think I needed that much at all, but that's okay. I've got plenty of it. All right. Yeah, those are some nice chompers right there. That's gross. That looks really nice. Okay. I think I'm going to rinse that brush off. All right, and next up, there is kind of the big eye that you can actually rip out whenever you're playing the game. It's kind of in the middle of the whole thing, and I kind of thought that kind of spot right there where I'm pointing, I feel like that would be a pretty good spot. Now it's just a bright yellow color, so I figured we would use this this lemon yellow here. Don't need very much paint, and I can just use that same brush that I was using. I think I can get away with that. Let's just do one of those numbers. I think that'll be fine. That looks good. All right. Yeah, you don't need anything too technically impressive or anything like that. All right. So the next big step that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this shade right here. This is a Citadel brand liquid shade. The color is Nuln Oil. It's just basically black. It's just a really, really dark liquid shade. So we're going to go ahead and get this guy out. Okay. Alright, and I think I'm just going to use this really old beat-up brush that I'm using here. This is just an old Master's Touch brush that's got some really flayed bristles there, but I think that this will be fine. So you're just going to kind of go over the whole thing with this liquid shade, and that's going to fill in all the low contours of the miniature, you know, everything with that dark kind of black oil color, and that'll give us some depth. Make sure you spread this out really well whenever you use it, because if you use too much in too small of an area, it'll kind of clump up and it'll really, really darken your miniature, maybe a little bit too much. So just make sure that you spread it around really well whenever you use it, because you don't necessarily want to darken your mini too extremely. I think that's looking pretty good. Ooh. Whoa. Oh, want to be careful. You don't want to spill that stuff. Yeah, this thing is looking pretty nice. It's looking nice and gory. What I'm going to do, too, right after I finish this step, well, first what I'll do is I'll use a layer of matte varnish to just kind of add a little bit of extra protection to the miniature, just a little bit of a kind of a layer. But then I'm going to go over it with a gloss red to give it a nice bloody wet look, and I think that'll look really nice. Now I was mentioning, you know, be careful, try not to use too much, but I think in the interior of the mouth here, you can use a little bit more because it is supposed to be really, really dark. So, you know, if you do want to kind of pool it in down there, I think that you can probably get away with that. There's a little kind of skeleton in there. It might be kind of hard to see there, but yeah, you can kind of see just kind of a rotting corpse in there. All right. Yeah, that's nasty. Look at that. That's nice and bloody. That's kind of what we're looking for. All right. And like I said, I'm going to give that, I kind of want to touch that up with some gloss, but first I want to apply some varnish, but before I do that, this stuff has to dry. Yeah, nasty. All right. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to give that a bunch of time to dry. Really, really give that some time. Don't come back to it until it's nice and dry. So I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so that guy is pretty much completely dry at this point, so I'm going to take my my matte varnish here. Normally I would just kind of put it on my little surface here, but I think it will be just as efficient to just kind of lay it on here and then spread it around. I'm just going to use kind of an old, flat, crappy brush here that I don't really use much anymore. Oh wow, you know what? Actually, that's not a great brush for doing that. Let's use this one right here. It's just another big flat brush that I don't use very often. It is probably important to say that whenever you are doing your varnish like this, make sure that you use a brush that you're not super concerned about, that you're not worried about getting in rough shape or anything like that, because the varnish can kind of mess with your brush a little bit. So I like to use kind of an older, crappy brush for it. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to coat the whole thing with this varnish. Alright, I think that'll be fine, so I'm going to rinse that brush off really quickly. Alright, now I want to make sure that that is also dry before I move on to the next step, so I'm going to give that a few minutes to dry as well. Alright, and then after that is mostly dry, I'm going to move on to just another random brand here of a gloss red color. Doesn't really matter what kind of variety that you use. Yeah, just whatever you can kind of get your hands on. This is just a cheap little like $2 bottle that I got from the craft store. Alright, and I'm going to move on to this medium dry brush here. And I'm just going to get that nicely into my bristles here. And then I'm just going to dry brush all of the red with this gloss red color. And the reason why we want gloss red is because this is going to give it that nice, wet, gory, bloody look that we want. There we go. That's looking nice and nasty. Alright, and I think last up I'm just going to dot those that kind of yellow eye thing there with that same gloss red. So I'll just take any old brush here. This is just a, that medium round brush that I was using earlier, and I'm just going to kind of dot the eyes there just a little bit. That just makes them jump out a little bit more. Alright. But yeah, it's important to do the gloss after you do the matte varnish, because if you do the varnish over the gloss, then it's going to lose that shiny look, which is what we are specifically looking for here. And there you go. That's pretty much it. That's it's a faceless horror, but you could just call it a Gore Nest from Doom. Really, really simple, but really fun, satisfying paint job that you can just kind of put on display, next to your other Doom miniatures if you want to just kind of show, more Doom stuff. I kind of want to explore, messing with other miniatures and kind of making Doom minis out of them. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and throw it a like. If you want to see more miniature painting videos and more board game videos, things about just nerdy hobby stuff in general, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And so thank you again everybody for watching. We'll see you next time on Let's Paint a Mini.